Hi everyone, welcome to Afros in the Diaspora, the Experts Corner. This is a series that aims to empower, educate, and support immigrants, whether you're new to Canada or you've been in Canada for a while and you're still finding your feet. Each episode features professionals and community leaders who share practical guides and insights on everything from finances and housing to mental health. My name is Sarah Uwadiae. I'm your host. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Afros in the Diaspora, the Experts Corner. And today we have a very, very special guest. Her name is Lucy Diale Mewanu. She is a lawyer, a board chair, and a community advocate and philanthropist. She is currently senior advocate and managing lawyer at the family law practice at Osuji and Smith, and she is currently a board chair at Ruth's House here in Calgary. Lucy,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to have you. I can't wait for us to dive into what we have to talk about today. You are a family lawyer. This is your career, and you also work in like nonprofits, and you also support like families who need that support. So shout out to you and the awesome work you do. I'll just start by saying that.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to you as well.
Oh, I appreciate that, Lucy. Thank you. All right, Lucy. We're going to start with you telling us a little bit about your background. Like, I know you're Cameroonian, but just tell us how you found your way into Canada, practicing law.
Yeah. So my name is Lucy Diale Mewanu, like you did mention. Most people call me Lucy, but I'll say those from African communities who prefer Diale just because it speaks to our roots. I was born in Cameroon. My family is from Cameroon, but I did immigrate to Canada in 2012, January to be precise, after high school. And then I later completed my college, uni, and law education here. My parents are here. I'm the only child, so thank God for that. Well, don't let my mom hear you, but yeah. I do have extended relatives here as well, few of them, but most of them are either in Europe or in Cameroon still. I have spent a larger part of my life, I would say, in Canada, because before I came to Canada, I was just a young kid pushing through life, but it's been a very exciting journey here. And for the longest time, for as long as I can remember, my mom said I always wanted to be a lawyer. And that's because I believe my biological father was a lawyer, God rest his soul. And he was a very good lawyer. So I think it's inborn. So I'm looking for long term, and hopefully I don't lose that confidence along the way. But I did continue in the legal industry, and I don't think I've ever wanted to do anything else. My undergrad is in health and society. However, it kind of adds to my legal education and experiences, and helps me a lot in family law because health and society was based on social causes, social determinants of health, and just wellness and policies in Canadian society. So that helps me a lot in applying the family law principles. I currently practice in family law, employment, labor, real estate, civil litigation, and commercial transactions. I have been a lawyer now for 4 years. It's my first time ever practicing law, so I didn't practice in any other jurisdiction other than in Alberta, which makes it a great experience so far. I have been with Osuji and Smith since January 2022. So it's the first law firm where I practiced after my call to bar in Alberta. My articling period was in another law firm in Red Deer, but I couldn't stay in Red Deer, unfortunately. So I had to return to Calgary, where my family is. Yeah, that's the sum of it. I do a lot of community work because it's much of a priority for me. I'm a community person. If there's anything that needs my attention or service or input for the growth of an individual or our communities, particularly the African communities. I am showing up. I'm doing my part, which is why I volunteer with different organizations such as Roots House Canada. I am the board chair, but I'm also the volunteer lawyer. I do some legal work for them. And then other communities like the Women's Center here in Calgary, the Calgary Legal Guardians, and
Let's
things,
hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Keep going.
Diversity Magazine, Spirit FC, and I also attend a lot of community events as a speaker or a presenter in the Nigerian community, Cameroon, Kenya. Well, one. So African Collective, I would say, it is just putting all those hands on deck for the betterment of our people, right?
That is so awesome. Like you are listing out, I volunteer here, I do this. I'm like, hey, okay, please somebody should spray her money.
Thank you. You're
Well
so kind.
done. Well done. I know I've seen like some because I think is it weekly or bi-weekly you do a live at Roots House on under Roots House Instagram or something like that where you answer or Zoom. It's a Zoom
Yeah.
where you answer people's questions regarding family law. And I just think that is so and you do it pro bono. Like this is a volunteer. You're volunteering
it's
your
pro
time
bono.
and knowledge. And not a lot of lawyers do that at all.
No.
And so I just, hats off to you. I want to kind of give you your flowers about that because that I'm sure has provided so much like understanding and knowledge and information to people in very dire circumstances.
Yes. That is such a good way to create awareness because when people come into Canada, my experience is that they don't know what the system expects of them. And it's very challenging to move from one culture where you build a life into another culture and then start over. They find it hard letting go of what they already know and have and to incorporate this new picture into their lives, right?
So like what would you say that for anyone newly arriving in Canada, like what basic family law concepts should they understand right away? Because I know, like you said, culture is a big thing. Like here in Canada, like in communities like Africa where like it's extremely patriarchal and the men have like, the culture kind of props up the men more than the women. So men have more of a voice than the women versus here in the West where women have a voice. You know what I mean? Like a woman can express herself. She can stand up for herself. There's autonomy, there's agency, and all those things. And I know sometimes, like from some of the stories I've heard, that's one of the things that a lot of like African men cannot wrap their head around. That wait, now I have to take care of the kids. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one that goes out and works, and my wife is at home. Now I'm working. Now I'm taking care of the kid. Now I'm doing dishes. What?
It's a tough change and transition for them. But I would say that in most communities, whether it's within Canada or outside, everyone has a voice. It's just that we don't have the avenues to showcase or speak out. And which is why when people migrate to or immigrate to Canada, they find those avenues available, right? So the voice comes out, the sounds are coming out. They've been piling up so much inside, and now they're like shouting it out, and people are actually listening. I do understand that, as a Cameroonian, even if someone was experiencing hardship in a relationship or marriage back in Cameroon, and it's not everywhere in Cameroon, of course, there's cities and tribes in Cameroon that are really advanced, and the literacy levels are very high, and, the level of awareness is also high. So it's good. But for a majority of it, if someone is going through something and they do express it, there's a stigma that comes with it, right? Oh, you're so annoying. You can't take it. You are not strong enough. Women are supposed to be resilient. You're not a resilient person. You're not supporting your husband. You're not, there's all of that backlash in terms of the person's character, rather than trying to listen to the experience and say, okay, let's at least know why the person is expressing that. That's the difference I find between most communities outside of Canada and those here. And if someone is moving here or trying to settle in Canada, the things that are available to them are the resources. Because from when they are going through immigration process and finalizing that transition or move to Canada, they have those resources that are guiding them. If you send an email to the immigration department, they'll respond to you. It might not be exactly where you want them to, but they will. So you're getting support from there. When you land in Canada, maybe you have your own arrangements or you have some family that is picking you up, but you can Google something and find it. Okay, Newcomers Center is right there. And for legal services, we have a lot of them in Calgary, I'll say. We have Calgary Legal Guardians. We have, well, the Women's Center doesn't provide legal services, but they have volunteer lawyers that can spend time with you. We have Legal Aid at Builder. We have Pro Bono at Builder. We have other organizations around which are not like fully legal services, but they provide it. But in terms of family law principles in Canada, I always advise, I'll not use the word advise, I always inform people when I do presentations in the community that they should be willing to let go of their own mindset and understanding of what a marriage should look like, of what the roles of in a marriage should look like, and what the outcome of a separation could be. Because the principles here, it gives an equal playing ground, I would say. The way that you enforce that playing ground could vary because of financial resources or what form of advice you're getting. But when it comes to the actual system, you are like each party in the marriage is able to have that access. If one person has more money and they're able to retain a more competent lawyer, that could give them an advantage. But it doesn't mean that the system gives them an advantage, right? So yeah. But for relationships and marriages, the family law principle, the fundamental one is what we call the best interest of the child, meaning that if parties were to separate, the court is making the children a priority in that separation. The outcomes of that separation will show to be more beneficial to the children. And things like parenting arrangements, child support will be prioritized over other things like spouse support and property, because children are considered to be vulnerable and they cannot stand up for themselves. I mean, the parents are adults, so they can take care of themselves. They've been doing that forever. But the children are, dependent. So how much energy or access to, resources can they get on their own? They're still dependent on parents. Yeah. When people separate, what we do is, if they don't have money, there's legal aid. Legal aid can approve someone for a certificate for up to like 20, 30 hours. And legal aid pays the lawyer. And then they go into a payment plan with the client. So if someone has a very low income, like, or say they have some savings somewhere or something, they can always access legal aid. Or if they don't feel like legal aid could be fast enough, they could phone the Calgary Legal Guardians and they will get up to 45 minutes of free legal advice with a lawyer. I am a volunteer lawyer with CLG, so we do like shifts. And each of my shifts is 1 hour. So it's 2 hours, 30 minutes, because it starts at 6:30 and it's done at 8:30. And for that time, I have 3 clients that I provide advice for free. However, what I'll say is that there is all of the information that is available does not kind of override the need to speak to a lawyer. So if a family migrates to Canada and they feel like they're going through some form of, marital challenges that could lead to separation, I would suggest that both parties kind of take that step to speak to lawyers so that they can have an understanding of what is at stake or what is required of them if they were to go through the separation, how they can deal with, moving out of the house that they share into separate houses, what arrangements they can put in place for their children in terms of parenting time with the children, child support, what the parties' incomes are, how to divide property when people separate. That is information that a lawyer will give you based on your particular circumstances, because your circumstances will be different from another person. So it's not one size fits all.
Fits all. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you've just shared so much. Like all the organizations that you listed that are available for pro bono work and volunteer legal support, and even how the law kind of like looks at a separation and prioritizes the kids. I think like, in my head it's like, yeah, duh. Of course they prioritize the kid, but it's also not that straightforward because
No, it's not.
maybe there's some other communities or societies that do not, and sometimes the way like it's so loud, like people are so loud about, oh, spousal support, alimony, like this
Oh,
stuff, but they don't like, and
no.
then the kids almost like, you
Yeah.
know
Spousal support comes second to child support in all
absolutely.
circumstances, even based
That's
on the legal
awesome.
principle.
Yeah.
And child support is calculated on gross income, while spousal
Mm,
support is calculated on net income. So
really
another thing is spousal support is tax deductible. Child support isn't.
is not.
Yeah. So if
Oh,
someone pays you spousal support, that is income to you, and that's a tax deductible item to them.
right.
Yeah.
Wow. I did not. Wow. Okay. Wisdom, knowledge flowing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have another question for you. What are some common misconceptions that newcomers have about marriage, separation, and parental rights in Canada? Because I have heard that, because again, I'm not married, so I can't say this is my
You and
experience.
I,
No, but
most of some billionaires on this podcast,
yeah.
oh, there's some baby girls here.
Oh, there's some billionaires listening. Absolutely. But I've heard about, like, even I had the founder of Roots House on
Pastor
this
D.
D, yeah, Pastor D, Mama D, as I fondly call her.
Yeah.
And she shared a lot of like insights about how people move here and within 2 years, like that's the statistics,
Mm.
the marriage is
Yeah. It goes
they're
out.
separated. it
Wow.
goes it goes south real fast, and 2 years
Mm.
is a really short time, but it's a very long time when you look at it in terms
Yeah.
of like you're relocating from a new country, especially if
Yeah.
you're coming with kids. You're sorting out yourself and kids, dealing with all the changes, dealing with the cultural shocks, dealing with, oh, now I got to find a new career. Oh, the money and the savings I thought I had, the dollar rate is not the naira rate, and it's nothing compared to what we actually need to make a living. So there's so many things that pile up and cause the friction
Yeah.
and the breakdown. But what would you say are some misconceptions? Because I would say that's one. I mean, even those statistics kind of sort of show that this is what it is. It's so bleak. Like it is so like, it's one of those things that's like, oh man, people are coming here to find and build a new life for themselves and their families, and those families are not even surviving. But yeah, please
Yeah.
share more on that and more on like misconceptions about all these things that within, like, in your experience.
So based on the legal aspect of separation, because I mean the law will intervene after the relationship has broken down, right? While the relationship is ongoing, you guys have control of that. The parties have control of that. If they're going through marital challenges, they should speak to a counselor or a therapist or something. But when the marriage has gone south, that's where we come in. And that's where we give options to both parties as to what next steps could look like. So, um, it also depends on which party I'm consulted with. It's not always the women who are at the vulnerable end of it. Sometimes the men as well. I've seen men who were very tormented in their marriages, physically, mentally, psychologically, right? And financially as well. So there is no particular person in the marriage that is always the victim, in quotes. I don't believe that anyone is a victim, but there is that victim experience, right? Because victim is taking on that persona, and no, and it can be very degrading to the person that is being called a victim, but they have a victim related experience. That way they can heal out of it quicker and move into another persona that, showcases strength.
Oh my
So,
gosh. Sorry, you're just like that sounds like a psychological analysis that you just did, by the way, but continue, please.
so what I found common in most separations that come from couples in our African communities is when people separate, there's one person who is always trying to prove a point to another person. Oh, I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to do this. You can't get this. You can't get that, because that's what they've known from where they're coming, right? Um, and then the woman comes to me. I'll use the woman for example, because most of the time women are the ones on the losing end. I would say 90% of the time or more. She comes to me and she's in this state of breakdown, mental breakdown, and she's near to Canada. Maybe she's been working or not working, or maybe she has two jobs in addition to caring for the kids. It happens a lot. People go through a lot of there is this experience that is not good, because if someone has to care for the home, care for your kids, and still have to work and contribute financially to the family, I find that to be very tormenting, high level torment. And then what does the other person do? Right? If I have to do all of those things and still give you my body at the end of the day, it means I'm the one that married you instead of you marrying me. So the woman will come to you and she's like, she's so sad, and she's like, I'm about getting separated, or I've been separated. And sometimes the man just leaves the house without any notice, doesn't tell them where he's going. He just finds a girlfriend somewhere or finds his new life somewhere. It's like when I listen to these situations, I'm like, are you kidding me?
So
Yeah,
wait. So he just like leaves the house, and
abandoned.
that's the separation. Like he just goes without
Yeah.
communicate.
Oh, most matters that I've handled from the African communities, there was no outright separation. Like there was no discussion of, okay, our marriage has come to its limit, or this is the end of it, while parting ways. No, that discussion doesn't happen often. What happens is the woman doesn't see her husband for months, and then she just assumes that he's not coming back.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Wow.
Sometimes he will go for like years. There are people that will go for 2 years, and then the wife finds out they're in Ontario or BC and they're living their life,
Oh my
and
god.
they don't contribute to the family. The children have no knowledge as to where their daddy is. The wife knows nothing about where the husband is, but she's just there because we are trained to be tolerant, to be, understanding, to be patient. Maybe he will come back. Maybe he will not come back. Or if he doesn't come back, then maybe he will tell me, but he doesn't think he has to tell you. So to him, that obligation doesn't exist and he's gone, right? And then I asked her, okay, when was the separation? They were like, to be honest with you, Lucy, I don't know. I, I think he left the house. I think this. So we now have to trace back the occurrences, maybe over the past years, to determine what the separation date is, in order to help us move forward. Because a separation date is very important in the next steps on the family matter. That's when the obligation of child support kind of starts, spousal support, and then property division. They all rely on the separation date. And even obtaining the divorce judgment, So the first thing we do is determine what the separation date is. And then I tell her what her options are. And most time they can't even believe you because of what material or information that other person has put on that. Threatening them, oh, if you go to a lawyer, you're not going to get a cent. Or if you go to the court, I won't pay you a dime. And I tell them, this person doesn't have that level of authority or control that they think they have. In fact, they don't have any of it because it's not a determination from their end. There's a principle. And all of those different issues have legal principles that need to be applied to it. So by the time I'm done with that person, they are begging to resolve the matter. The same person that was cursing you out and telling you won't get a dime is a person say, oh, please now, but let's talk this out. Because that misconception of, oh, I have the right to give her what I feel like, what I'm willing to do, or it's out of my free will to pay support to my spouse. No, it's not. So that's a huge misconception in the African communities. And that that arises from cultural upbringing. Most people misunderstand what the rights and obligations could be from a separation or in the event of a separation. And also, they misunderstand how the process could play out. It's not a quick fix. So if you separate today, you're not going to get spousal support tomorrow. It could take a month or so because we're going through the courts unless there's a voluntary payment from the other side. So timing is a thing as well. Uh, the level of control that each party has on what amount is paid or how long it's paid for, it's not within any party's control. It's based on legal principles. And then there's the issue of safety. Most people are concerned about safety when it comes to disclosing their experiences or going through like the court system. No, it's a level of protection that the system could accord to someone who's having a victim experience, right? There are protection orders in place. So if someone is threatening you after a separation, that could be a ground to obtain a protection. We have the emergency protection order, which is normally referred to as EPO. We have restraining orders. We have the Court of King's Bench orders. And those orders could extend to the children as well. So if a mother or father who has ongoing care for the children is experiencing some form of safety concerns or threats from the other person, and they do obtain a protection order, the children will be included in the protection order, right? As long as they reside in the same household with that person. So safety could be taken care of. And then involvement of third parties, family members and stuff like that could be restricted through the courts as well. Most people say, oh, what if his brother does this to me? What if his mother does this to me? You can get a restraining order against them as well to remove that contact if they're tormenting you, because we know it. Sometimes in a separation, the woman is the one blamed. The mother-in-law is cursing her out. The brothers and sister-in-laws are cursing her out. Different community members are cursing her out. Not what the circumstances are. So if somebody is threatening you and they're not directly related to the relationship, you can also get a restraining order for them to stop contacting you or to stop sharing information about you on social media or gossip, right? It's not, so those things are available. And then family abuse as well, family violence and stuff is taken very seriously on parenting matters. And as the matter progresses through the family court, that issue of family violence is there in the face of the justice, and they don't forget it. If there is a history of family violence occurring and there's proof of it, you'd be surprised at what people go through in marriages. Sometimes it's so sad and heartbreaking. I feel like, if I had a magic wand to just wave that person out of this world, maybe I'll do it. But yeah, if there's an issue of like that history of family violence that has occurred over time and throughout the marriage, whether it's towards the spouse or towards the children, and even if it's not directly hurting the children, but if the children continue to witness it, that's also a psychological and emotional trauma. So if there's that history and proof of it, that will highly influence what form of parenting arrangement we put in place, um, and also if there's a need for like a protection order, right? Yeah. So those things don't get lost in the system. And people think like, oh, it happened 5 years ago, so it's not relevant now. It is relevant time. Yeah. When people say all issues come to light. Yes.
Girl, you have dropped so many gems that at some point my mouth was hanging open. Because like when you said that like sometimes the men just leave and
Mhm.
just like they just disappear and that's
Mhm.
it. And then you hear from them they're in BC with the
Oh,
family.
oh,
That blew my mind. And the fact
oh,
that sometimes the women just stay because that's you're completely correct. Like that's the programming, that's the
mhm.
upbringing. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be an understanding and patient wife. You're supposed to stand by your man. Men will always be men, boys will always be boys. You have to show him that you are strong. Pray about it.
Oh,
Like women are given
do it for
all
the
these.
children.
Do stay for. Oh my gosh, like the children are blind and they can't see.
Oh, I
Like stay for
know.
there's so many things that women are
Yeah.
told, but you also said something really important, that not women are not the only like people
Mhm.
with victim experiences.
No, they're not.
There's and sometimes like social media is a very very interesting thing, in as much as it has a lot of like pros, there are also some cons where people come
Yeah.
and air their like dirty laundry on
Yeah.
social media. And so sometimes like there was this video that I just could not believe was online. They were fighting, like the man and the woman. They were
Uh-huh.
fighting and the man pulled out his phone to be recording. Like the woman was like holding his
Yeah.
shirt, slapping his face, using her
Oh,
head, like you know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
on, so like it's on
Yeah.
Facebook. It's out there in the
Yeah.
world now. You can't get it back,
Yeah.
and then at some point she went to get a knife and the
Uh,
guy was screaming, and like I feel like he recorded it or whatever as a way to like protect himself. I
yeah.
think because that's what people do, right? Sometimes they just pull up their phone. Sometimes they don't even like put the phone to whoever is abusing them just to protect themselves,
Mhm.
because that can also aggravate whatever is going on with the abuser or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just a way for them to protect themselves, that and take records and record
Mhm.
like some of these things that you were saying, because you did mention that, especially when like the abuse is documented,
Mhm.
um that it's like it's never forgotten, and it's a very big
No.
factor in
Yeah.
determining a lot of things during separation and divorce, especially
Yeah.
when children are involved.
Involved.
So yeah, so I have a two-part question for
Mhm.
you. um Sometimes social media, like people come online to use social media to like skew the perspective of
Mhm.
what's going on into one person's favor, or to like cast dirt on somebody else,
Mhm.
you know. Especially during like divorce, during separation, it's nobody's business. I'm just going about my day and suddenly somebody's telling me about how the wife is a this and a that, and how she did this and did that, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's a way, I feel like it's a way to just like destroy destroy someone's reputation, destroy their status, destroy them,
Mhm.
right? Because sometimes there's just no coming back from those things, whether it's a lie
Yeah.
or it's the truth. The
Yeah.
internet
It's
never
always going to be
forgets.
available for people to view.
Exactly. And it like people can lose their jobs, they could lose friends, lose like
Yeah.
literally it's a weapon. It becomes a weapon. So like in cases like that during separation or during the divorce, where people are online shouting about she did this, he did this, he's after my life, all the children, all the this
Mhm.
and that, what would you say, or is that a case where like restraining order could also work with that?
Yeah.
Because like, restraining order, from my very like layman civilian understanding, it's restraining someone from being in close proximity with you or
Yeah.
with the kids. That's my
Directly or
understanding of it.
indirectly. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop them from holding up their phone and talking to the camera, you know? That doesn't stop them from typing things. So, like, are there any steps one could take to protect themselves, even in that way, when people choose to start to spread rumors or start to just try to destroy their destroy them online, basically?
Mhm.
That's the first question.
Okay.
The second one, which is may or may not be related, is with actually it's probably not related. I'll have you answer this one first.
So your question was, are there any steps to prevent, publication of information about like the relationship
Yeah,
and
and sometimes slander and
separate?
like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
defamation of character, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are two things that you mentioned, two words, slander, defamation, and those are like legal terms. They kind of comprise of actions that lead to harm towards another person. So, and they can give rise to like civil actions against the other person who is doing the action, and also lead to like financial relief. Now, in relation to family law principles, when people separate, of course, there are a lot of, grudges, there's tension and stuff like that. And depending on how the separation happened, it could also trigger how the parties go about it. Um, or if there are certain personalities, maybe they're public figures or whatever, and they rely on social media to boost their earnings and stuff, it means that everything that happens in their life is going to be on social media, right? We see these actresses and actors spilling everything. Um, Most of the time, someone who is not caught up in that social media lifestyle will unlikely go on social media and disclose that kind of information. But they could post something on their Facebook feed or Instagram feed that says, "Oh, you think you are this? I'm going to show," those kind of, messages
Yeah.
that are not calling your name, they're not
Subliminal.
calling your name.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
subliminals. Yeah, they're talking to you without
Yeah,
calling
that's
your
what
name.
it's you,
Yes.
but going around the bush.
But and then
Uh,
everybody starts to speculate that, oh wait, is
it's
this his
you,
wife? Is it
right?
like you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. That happens a lot, and it cuts across like culture or community or background or whatever, right? Because different immigrant communities have like associations, they have social media groups. If something was to happen like that, you say people separate and one person is publishing material or going on social media to rant about the separation and the other person's outcome and conduct, or going on a podcast and saying, "Oh, this person is doing this." A lot of people have done that.
Right.
Uh, you get a restraining order or a family protection order against them. Because when it comes to protection orders, which extends to restraining orders, it's not just about somebody making a physical threat to you. It covers like harassment, stalking, social media publications, or gossip. If you go and be telling people in the community that, "Oh, we separated because I did this,"
Yeah.
uh, I'm going to block you and block all of them and tell them I'm going to get a court order against you for you not to be sharing that information about me because it's
Right.
damaging. If there's
It's very
anything that is
damaging.
being shared, whether it's on social media or outside of it, um, as long as it's damaging and it's a continuing thing, then you can always get a restraining order, which is why you don't just go and get the restraining order or a protection order. You have to do an application, you have to swear an affidavit document, which kind of contains the evidence of what the person had done
Mhm.
and the reason why you believe that they continue doing it, and also how that thing is affecting you.
Mhm.
Right? So it's a process, an application process.
Mhm.
So of course, if you have all of that information that they've shared, and even if they've deleted it, you have screenshots of it, you can
Mhm.
attach it as exhibits to your affidavit. Then the court will determine, based on the existing circumstances and of course the principles from the Protection Against Family Violence Act. That's the document that is applicable to protection orders, to see,
Mhm.
okay, um, this has happened, it's likely to happen, it's causing harm, it needs to be stopped. So, and then the court will grant it. The court might not grant it in all circumstances, just because if somebody did something 2 years ago on social media and they haven't done it again, then there's a less probability of them doing it. So it's a case by case thing, right?
Right.
However, if they are doing it, say, I'm going to make some references. Regina Daniel's situation. She's a very beautiful girl. I love her, but what is happening on social media about her life right now can be very damaging. If anybody was going back and through that kind of situation, the first thing I would tell them is to get a restraining order. If that person is the person sharing information is the spouse, the separated spouse, it means that they were in a family law relationship, then they'll get an EPO or a Queen's bench protection order. And that will stop them from sending direct messages, from reaching out to third parties about, you, from publishing any material, whether it's on social media or in real life about you. It will just stop everything, right? And also, those things can be attached in affidavits as the matters progress. It could have an influence on parenting access and contact with the children, which means that the form of parenting arrangement that could be put in place can be influenced by that. Now, if the woman is the one, see, the woman has the children and she's trying to use that as leverage, because that people don't separate it, go on media and they're like, oh, he's killing me, oh, he's a bad, know what he's done to me, protect me and protect my children. Most times there's grounds for it, meaning that there's substance to what they're saying and they should go to the right avenue. If there is issue of violence, they should be contacting organizations like Roots House or shelters that provide support, social worker support. They can guide you on how to go about it if you don't want to get a criminal court involved, because criminal matters will lead to consequences. You can get a protection order against that person rather than going on social media and publishing things. Because nobody on social media is going to help you right now. If you're in Calgary and somebody is reading your thing from Netherlands, what are they going to do for you?
Just talk about it.
So just listen to it and have fun. Maybe if it's something that is romantic, they'll jack off to it. But if you need real life protection, ask for real life protection. Like, say, okay, I'm experiencing abuse. Google shelter, women shelters in Calgary, women organizations. Something will pop up. Go there, talk to them. Or say family court in Calgary. Go to the courthouse, talk to them about your situation. They'll tell you where to go if you cannot have a lawyer. At the Calgary courthouse, we have resolution services. It's free. We have family law counselors. That's free. Pro Bono Alberta always has lawyers at the courthouse who are there to, advise you on where to go, how to go about it. Those are free services. Call legal aid. Call Calgary Legal Guidance. Phone them and tell them, and then they will give you real life solutions of next steps.
Right. So don't go on social media, but
Yeah.
also you did say that it's not just social media. Like gossips are
Awesome.
big thing, man. I'm not even going to lie. Especially when, like, say you were married, you used to go to this church and everybody knew you guys together, and then a separation happens or a divorce.
Don't get me to church matters. Oh, well. Sometimes you even wonder if we're Christian, or the way that matter will change. They'll be like, you did not hear. I'm sorry to say that most times it's hilarious the way that things happen when people separate. I'm telling you.
It is. And it's so because,
like... they'll be like, it's because you're not giving him doggy style. Maybe that's why. Yeah, it gets so real, Sarah. You can't even begin to imagine the circumstances that lead to separation, which is why I always say that the experiences that I get through my work, my line of work, has given me way more wisdom and approach to life compared to
Mm.
real life, like based on my age. Because if you take away my career, I don't have that much of real life
Life
experience.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've not lived life for long enough to have like life experiences to reference. But my
Mhm.
work, I'm so happy God gave me this work because I am
Right.
learning. Yeah.
Yes. And like church is one of the places where and like Africans love African churches. Let's just start there. And so because like it's the culture, it's the way of worship, it's the
Yeah.
music, it's
Yeah.
they still get to show up with their Sunday's best. Meanwhile, if you
Ah,
go to a regular like Pentecostal church
nobody
here,
will understand your outfit.
people wear jeans and hoodies to church and like, you know, my mom visited and she's like, please carry me to where I can feel like I'm in Nigeria. I said, I have the place for you.
Should I get her
And
to
it's
my
just
church?
church. And but church is one of those places too where once a rumor starts, it develops a head, a
Mm.
shoulder, a tail,
Mm.
like it just
They will go
it
to
just
parliament and come back.
yeah, I come back and it's like it can start as something like, oh my god, did you know that this person divorced? By the time the like 10th person is talking about it, do you know that she almost killed her husband? That's where it just gets worse and worse and worse as the rumor spreads. So that's
Yeah.
another so how would because that's it becomes so damaging. Like I know people who have had to change churches, you know what I mean? Because like they
Yeah.
just can't go there anymore and sometimes the churches themselves they don't protect
Mhm.
the
You don't
people,
intervene
right?
in.
They
Yeah.
don't intervene. Like I know someone who she's a church worker. Her marriage didn't work out, whatever, fine, we're moving on. She used to like show up for the church events, she's helping out, stuff like that. Her ex-husband came to get married in that church. And
And they are,
she like they no one gave her a heads up. Like her pastor, like they did the whole thing. She did not know until like she heard about it and like, oh, they're doing Thanksgiving. She's like, in the like I'm a worker, like why did nobody tell me? So at least be prepared so that if I'm coming in I know like the mind frame to have and like you know what I mean. And like
yeah.
it's just one of
Heartbreak.
those things that's so heartbreaking because like for every event she's running up and down to make sure that it's beautiful, make sure that it's
Well,
they know her,
but
so
you're
it's
the
not a
one
matter of
planning that. I'm sorry. That is too damaging.
that yeah, it's so heartbreaking because
Yeah.
people know her. You know, people know,
Uh,
oh, her ex-husband is getting married. Like, you know, and then it just goes off and she had to change churches. So it
mhm.
just is it's like the people who go to the church is one thing, but then the system, like the
Yeah.
institution itself. So would you say that that also plays like that protection you're coming? I mean, I know like sometimes like it's sometimes easier to move on but
Mhm.
move away from the church and just go to a different church. But the damage has still been done to your reputation, right? The damage has still been done to you. And so if that person talks to any other person and your name comes up, it's a smear campaign.
Mhm.
So like does that also like play into it? Because church is just one example, right? There are other like community gatherings that
Yeah.
different communities and
Okay.
gather. But I'm just wondering if like that whole restraining thing that you were talking about with social media, if it works in real life, like you were saying.
Mhm. Um, so when we're talking about churches, we're talking about like group of people. And what I'll say is that if something was to happen to someone and there's a group of people that are concerned with it, personally, I feel like good judgment will be to move away. And of course, if somebody has been in that church for 10, 20 years, and say even before they moved to Canada, they were part of that church organization, it's harder, but you have to choose your peace, right? It's a personal judgment that the person will need to make to say that being a member of this church, this particular congregation, could be damaging to my well-being, mental health, and also affect my physical health. If they have another location, maybe you want to consider it, or if they don't have another location, then you make the decision on whether you want to stay and take the torture or you want to, go to another fellowship group. So that's a personal decision. However, if there's a particular person that you can point and say, this is the person that is the core of this rumor. This is the person that is known to circulate this rumor, right? You can hold them personally responsible and name them on a restraining order. But on a group of people, it could become like a really long process of getting a restraining order against 10, 15 or an entire church, because a restraining order deals with distance. If someone gets a restraining order or a protection order against another person, there's the distance aspect of it, meaning that so for example, I'll use you and I. Party A gets a restraining order against Party B. Now, in that restraining or protection order, it could be EPO restraining order, Court of King's Bench order. It will say Party B cannot come within 100 or 200 or 500 meters within Party A states. Party B cannot be within that same amount of distance from Party A anywhere in our building. Meaning that if you were to get a restraining order against me and there was a 200-meter distance restraint between us, I can't come to church with you. In the same building, that 200 meters it's not long enough to be in the same church room or something. All right. If we're working in the same workplace, one person will have to quit, or the workplace or employer can decide how to structure that. Maybe take one person to another location or whatever. There has to be something to make sure that Party B is not breaching the distance aspect, because they could get arrested, right? And that will now become a criminal action, which will go on the record. So everyone will be mindful. I can't go to the nightclub if Party B cannot go to the nightclub, because in fan eyes, I don't think there's 200 meters apart. You are like this. So where's 200 meters going to be, right?
Right.
And so with that distance restriction, a lot of things cannot happen for those two people in the same environment, which means that if someone is getting a restraining order against 15 people, 10 people in that church, or even 2 people in that church, it's either that person is going to leave or those 2 people are going to. Somebody will have to leave.
Someone have to leave. So,
right?
Yeah. To just shift the conversation a little bit, people move here and sometimes like one partner's status is dependent on the other partner's status. So like, say the husband moved here first to kind of try to settle things, and maybe after a year, the family, like the wife and kids, he invites them and they come in, and so their application is very, very tight. Like their application for citizenship or thank you. One partner sponsors the other partner and the kids, and so in situations where like that, where like they're literally tied together in a way that like their residency in a whole country depends sort of on that.
How would you?
It's interdependent. Yeah. So how would you recommend then, like if that relationship ends up not working out, maybe there's abuse, neglect, whatever. Abandon, like the person just picks up and goes to another province or what? Like, what would you somewhere, what would you say would be the way to move forward? Like, what would you recommend? What would you advise, say that this wife in this scenario who is like, I can't, like, this is not the life I envision for myself and my kids, I have to leave, maybe it's because of abuse for whatever reason. How would you recommend that they go about that? Because sometimes people stay because they feel like they have no choice because this person sponsored them, and sometimes that element of power and control gets into some people's head, and then they feel like they can treat the other person anyway, and they have no choice but to like accept it. So what would you say to that?
That question and everything that you kind of put into it takes us back to your previous questions regarding the misconceptions. Right? Since we're talking particularly about immigrant families rather than those who were born here, we're talking about first generation immigrants. Like, that they just moved here, Newcomers. One of the greatest misconceptions are in the immigrant communities is whoever calls the police first is going to have an advantage. That is no longer proven to be true.
Thanks for listening to the Expats Corner on Afros in the Diaspora podcast. This is part 1. Part 2 of this conversation will be released on our next episode, airing on the 3rd Tuesday of next month. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it.